popping up, I be rolling out, I be feeling like the man. I be waking up, I be like, damn.
Alright, go!
Who executed the motherfucking plan? Remember in them days, hopping out, flying out, 12 elevation out the sky, and you know, trying to get fucking paid, landing on them helipads every other day, and you know, cruising through the fucking deep sea. What they used to talk about, the myths of the past, they be like, don't stare too long, or the mermaid's gonna swim up and grab your ass. But then again, I want you, and you know what I really wanna fucking do to you. Wanna let you down, and you know, I didn't think this is how it would go down. But then again, lately I'd be all alone, trying to get the best of me. Be in the gym, be in the studio.
What's up, everybody? We're back for another breakdown. Today it's health benefits of fasting and caloric restrictions. And the purpose of this review is obesity and obesity-related diseases, largely resulting from urbanization and behavioral changes, are now of global importance. Energy restriction, though, is associated with health improvements and increased longevity. We review some important mechanisms related to caloric limitations amid at controlling the metabolic diseases, particularly diabetes. So basically, to wrap that up in simpler, in freaking English, is that overweight related diseases are the large sum of basically due to the economy change. Being able to have grocery stores and a lot of these other upgrades of society compared to days past have also impacted not only how we eat, but like our behaviors. And obviously people weren't as fat as they are now, and it's because they didn't have grocery stores back then, and they didn't have readily available meats and especially processed foods on the standby as they do today. And then also energy restriction is another way of saying fasting, and pretty much they're trying to study to see what health benefits come from it. One of the main ones it does disclose in the very beginning is that fasting and regulated eating is particularly efficient for people with diabetes and other metabolic diseases. So that's one thing already straight out the gate that it helps with. But let's carry on. Recent findings. Caloric triggers a complex series of events or intricate events, including activation of cellular stress response. So basically your cell will start attacking all the stress, and it will start a recovery cycle, which is later disclosed in the article. Improved autophagy, which is the cycle of the cell breaking down and getting rid of all the portions that are either abnormal or dead cells. And also continuing modification of apoptosis. Apoptosis is actually the phrase in which the cell leads itself to death in order to, basically, it's like cell suicide, but it kills the bad cells in your body. When people have cancer, the cancer usually prevents the cell from going to apoptosis, and this is why people with cancer have to go through chemo. And realistically, chemo kills healthy and bad cells. Apoptosis is our artificial biology trying to get rid of those said bad cells, and apoptosis is a safer alternative because it doesn't attack any of the good cells like chemo does. But continuing forward, intermittent fasting is not only more acceptable to patients, but it is also some of the advanced effects of chronic calorie restrictions, especially malnourishment or malnourished. So the last part, when people don't eat, they could tend to be malnourished when they go prolonged phases of non-eating. We've seen people in history being in internment camps that have been being starved. They eventually lead to malnourishment, but also eating unhealthy also leads to malnourishment. So even if you are eating bad and you implement intermittent fasting, and I'm saying intermittent fasting, not starvation. That was just a base standard for what I'm trying to explain. But if you add intermittent fasting to a poor diet, that will even also fight against malnourishment. A lot of benefits from basically all the different ways you can implement fasting, but also with the whole starvation type talk. Typically, how do I put this? Starvation is intermittent fasting, but just applied incorrectly. If anything, intermittent fasting is efficient fasting, but it can lead to starvation, and that would be when the intermittent fasting becomes counterintuitive and not efficient in how it was intended when it was applied to, respectfully, whatever diet or daily routine that you currently are or are trying to impact in a positive manner. And I know you guys aren't going to believe it, but that's the entire article. It was literally that paragraph, and realistically, I believe this was just the review or the summary of the breakdown that they did, but it's still from a credible source, guys. And one thing I wish you guys could all take away from this is the importance of just, well, in this case, eating less. Because even in cases where people, well, say someone's poverty stricken and they have some of the worst food available, processed, and just, out the box, and over time it's going to break down their body, because if you keep feeding the body gunk and it's only using gunk to rebuild all the cells, then realistically you're just diminishing the quality of temple that you live in. And pretty much, even if you, like, say you have no choice, because obviously we have to eat and we have to survive, and even if you're eating poorly and you implement a little bit of fasting in your diet, during those fasting states, you're going to allow your body to basically balance out the damage from all the food you're eating. And I can say that confidently because of the evidence given by the breakdown that we just went through together. And pretty much, a little bit goes a long way. And with that note, not only eating less, but sometimes in moments in life, doing less is more. But also, I wouldn't say don't make it your standard, because you never know. Doing less could take away or it could add. And in a sense, that's up to you to decide. And I can say this part. It's your world. We're all just living in it. We're passing through. I don't know. But anyways, guys, here's the work cited. Always got to give credit where it's due. And as always, thank you. Thank you for the time.